The color of the sky was such a beautiful blue, and I found out that it was called Fez blue, and it's seen in the pottery and in the fabrics that they make. Once again, I'm showing you the decor of our room, which was very authentic Moroccan traditional decor, with the stained glass windows added from the French. Here is the tile work as we had seen in the Bahia Palace in Marrakech. And here's the furniture with intricate detail and bright colors as we had seen in the Bahia Palace. And of course the poufs and the Berber rugs, which we saw in the souk and very much sought after and very much a part of a Moroccan household. And Alex called this chair the throne. Everywhere we looked, we saw Moroccan craftsmanship and a piece of history. As usual, breakfast was served on the terrace, and we were looking at the Medina walls and the fortress on top of the hill. Off this terrace, we could see the olive trees of the property and the orange blossom trees. And breakfast, of course, was the traditional Moroccan breakfast with all types of bread, fresh eggs, the jams, and the honey. Hey friends, welcome back to my channel, MBC Lifestyles Diary. My name is Marie. I live in New York, and I love fashion, travel, and cultural events, and I'm asking you to join me on the adventure. Our guide was Abdul. The Riyadh arranged for him to take us on a tour of the Medina. Abdul grew up in Fez, and he was very familiar with the Medina and the houses that were there and the history. He had spent his entire life in Fez, and he knew the Medina like the back of his hand. Abdul gave us the history of Fez as being established in the 9th century and also being the home and at one point the capital of Morocco. The first thing he informed us is that it was Friday, so we picked a good day to go to a tour because Friday was their Sabbath. So a lot of stores would close by noon. Not a lot of people would be out because Friday was the day that you went to mosque and you then had dinner, which consisted of couscous with the family. Also, since he was so familiar with the Medina, he was able to show us the main street and then take us off to the lesser known streets and the less crowded streets to show us how the citizens of the Medina truly lived. It was interesting to see how narrow the streets could get. He was the one that informed us that in order to clear the garbage and to have things transported in and out, the citizens of this Medina used donkeys. He showed us the water fountains that used to run with water in abundance when he was a child, but now in order to generate revenue, they shut them off and charge people for water. He pointed out buildings that are being restored because Fez is a UNESCO World Heritage Site where they try to preserve the Medina and the buildings in the Medina. And this is because when the French had control, they let that deteriorate and they focused more on the new cities that they built outside the walls. He also gave us the history of the doors and the double knockers. One knocker was to let the wife know that company was with them, and the other was to let them know that it was just the spouse coming home. He showed us windows that women would look out of so that they could see the activity, but that they could not be seen. It was really interesting and fascinating to be taken down these streets by someone who knew them so well. He let us know that the Moors from the Middle East and from Andalusia, Spain, influenced Moroccan architecture and design, and also because of the structure of the Medina, it was always 10 to 20 degrees cooler than outside the walls of the Medina.
So when I was younger, I remember was a house, private house, family house. So the entrance of the house it was like this one to enter to this house. When I used to go to this street, I have to make all around corner to go to this street. Now it's a new idea in the Medina of Fez. If some house fall down, nobody can ask for the land. So the new idea, the government, they clean it and make square in the Medina. Square for the people, they can sit here and talk. Because normally inside of the Medina is not squares, only narrow streets. So this is a new idea now. So squares for the people to have a rest, talk, the ladies, evening when it's cooler, people that can come here and meet each other and they can talk between them, things like that. So that is what's happened in the Medina now.
It's a beautiful idea.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Really, it's a really good idea because normally not big spots, big squares here. That's more a narrow streets. But this is the good idea. I think so.
So what is this behind you?
This is a football game.
Fez?
Fez football game. Somebody painted here.
Okay.
Yes.
He took us through the market, which is a market where you see all the citizens using, and we saw produce and we saw baked goods. And the most fascinating thing was the meat section. And in the meat section, he actually showed us where the camel meat was sold. And of course, my husband knew that the tastiest part of the camel was the hump, and it was also the most nutritious. So Abdul let us know that the camel meat is usually ground up and used and mixed with beef, and they make hamburgers with it. Fez is a northern Moroccan city often referred to as the country's cultural capital. It's primarily known for its Fez El Bali walled Medina with medieval Marin architecture, vibrant souks, and old world atmosphere. The Medina is home to religious schools such as the 14th century Bau Inyania and Al Atarin, both decorated with elaborate cedar carvings and ornate tile work. He took us to the Al Qarwinin Mosque University, and another term is madrasa, and this is where the learning took place, and students also had their dorms here. He told us the relevance of it being founded by Fatima, which was the daughter of a very rich man, and this is what she used her inheritance for. It is in this structure that he told us the significance of the fountain in the courtyard. All Muslims are called to prayer at 5 times a day, and each time they must purify themselves by washing their face 5 times, their hands 5 times, their arms, and their feet. And once purified, then they can go in prayer. He also brought to our attention the artwork or the intricacy of the woodwork that adorned this madrasa, and it showed the cross-cultural pollination of craftsmanship from Tunisia and also from Al-Andalus, which is Spain, Portugal, in the early 9th century. There's a lot of history here, and I can't give it to you all in the vlog, but knowing that this was established since the 9th century and had many different immigrants come in and exert their influence, but this is the key thing that you see is in the architecture, all that influence and the distinct Arab vibe. Fez was also known to have a Jewish population. It was called the Meleha, the Jewish quarter, was formed on the south side. of the new district. Fez consists of two old Medina quarters, Fez El Bali and Fez Jid, and the much larger modern urban Ville Nouvelle area founded during the French colonial era. The Medina of Fez is listed as a World Heritage Site and is one of the world's largest and oldest urban pedestrian zone. It contains the University of Alcones and was founded in 857 and is the oldest continuously functioning institute of higher education in the world. We are approaching the tomb of Idris I, founder of the Idrisid dynasty. Idris I was from Arabia and he was forced to flee and move to northern Morocco, conquering much of the area. His son Idris too built a settlement there. And here we are at the tomb, and I was told to place a donation and put my hand on the box to give a prayer of good luck. And you know me, I'll take good luck wherever I can find it. So this is the part where Fez is known as the spiritual capital, and we're looking inside the mosque/tomb of Idris and looking at the intricacy of design and the rugs that allow for prayer. So there are about 3 important mosques here along with this tomb, and it's beautiful, and I'm glad I got to take a peek inside. And then we continued on our journey through the Medina. So this street is an example of shops that are closed due to the fact that it's Friday, the Sabbath. And we walked through and it was quiet, and you saw a lot of the shops were shuttered. But I enjoyed the fact that it was quiet and less bustling. So here we are on our way to another mosque, and this mosque was built by the sister of Fatima, and her name was Miriam. And that's what she did with her inheritance. She built the mosque with the same name as the university. There are many dynasties that fought over and controlled Fez, and I can't say their names, and I'm not going to butcher the pronunciation, but I will tell you it was fascinating history. And then we went to a cooperative that showed us how textiles are made. So we watched the loom in which all these beautiful fabrics were woven, and we were given a history of how the dyes are made and that all the colors come from plants. We continued on and went and saw another mosque that Abdul told us that we identified the mosque by the towers and the color blue. The next stop on our walk, after admiring these architectural wonders and this next mosque, we then went on to see where the rugs are made, and we were given a demonstration of what the knotting technique was in the Berber rugs. And the Berber rugs were usually made by women because they, as women, had to do something at home that created value. So we're being shown the knot technique here, and the pattern is completely memorized by the females of each family. Also, in the making of a rug, a woman could communicate to her family as to whether or not she was happy in her marriage. I loved the rugs of Morocco, and they said that they could ship it to the US, and they told us that, if we bought a certain amount of rugs, shipping would be free. Unfortunately, I could not buy any rugs, and they thought it's because I didn't want it shipped, so they showed me how I could wrap it up and pack it up and carry it. And I was like, no, This is one more reason to make a trip to Morocco, because these rugs were stunning and I got quite an education in what to look for in quality. And I saw the difference between the machine made rugs and these handmade rugs and these knotted rugs and the different fabrics and textures that are used. I fell in love with this craft. The next cooperative that Abdul wanted to take us to was the tannery, which is something else that Fez is famous for. But at this point, I was exhausted and could not bear the torture of having something else I couldn't buy, because of course the tannery meant that there would be exquisite leather goods. So off we went to the top of the hill where we could have a panoramic view of the Medina below us. And look, there we are, we're looking at the blue roofs that indicate the mosques in the Medina. And of course, lo and behold, we spotted our riad, because now we were on top of the hill that in the morning we look up to from our terrace. It was wonderful. Here is our riad. Another interesting fact about top of the hill is that the French also built it so that they could look down on the Medina and attack the residents there if needed be, if they dared, I guess, to rebel. And here is the royal palace that I have mentioned on several occasions, which takes up 82 hectares. And here we are going towards the palace entry, the palace gates, and hopefully we'll knock and they'll let us in. The doors are huge and they're made of cedar with bronze inlay. The intricacy of design is all over these doors and the archway, and they're beautiful to look at. And we had to stand in front of them and play with the knockers. They're irresistible. We are now driving through the Jewish quarters, and what makes them distinct is the decorative balconies with the storefronts underneath. I asked Abdul if there is still a Jewish population, and he said no, not many. Then the next stop was the Blue Gate, which is one of the prettiest gates leading into the Medina, and it was put up by the French colonial administration in 1913 to serve as the grand entrance to the old city. When you walk through the gates on the other side, it's green. Ooh. The name of this blue gate is Bab Bou Jeloud. I hope I said it correctly. But that's the famous Blue Gate of Fez. And there are 14 gates to enter into the Medina. After this day, I returned home to my palace, the Riad Leilalina, and dinner was waiting for me. So grateful. And this time we had the salad, and of course we had meatballs. It was delicious. And once again, I admired the artistry that is Fez, and I see their rich history and all the reasons that they're called the cultural, spiritual capital of Morocco. If you enjoyed this, please give me a thumbs up, and remember to like, subscribe, and share.